What's up, YouTube? This is the Roman Atheist here, Romanist Atheist, and welcome to, I think it would be this week's video, but this month's, Stupid Things Christians Say to Atheists. This time, I'm going to be reading a short passage from World Religions, A Voyage of Discovery, from St. Mary's Press. I believe it is by Gregory L. Slobowski. This is a textbook that I have to read in my world religions class right now. It's very riveting. Um, Before I read certain parts, I don't think I'm going to read all of it. Well, of course I'm not going to read all of it because this is a long book. It's like over almost 300 pages. But, I mean, it's a long book to read in a video. But I'm going to read part of the section on secular humanism, and then that'll kind of lead into what I'm going to talk about. So just before that, they talk about traditionalism, fundamentalism, and liberalism, and pretty much where it goes from there next is if fundamentalism is traditional at its extreme, its liberal's counterpart is secular humanism. And then it goes into what the worldview is. It talks about how basically the worldview is. Alright, I'm going to quote it some more actually. The worldview that ultimate value is grounded entirely in the human realm is not in the divine or supernatural. So basically, it's saying that secular humanist or secular humanism. First of all, it's arguing that it's a religion, which I disagree with, but it's saying that it's entirely in the human realm, which I would agree with, but that's how the world is, I guess. There's, sorry, I'm blinking a little bit. It argues that, here's another passage I might read. The strong ethical interventions motivate secular humanism of a rejection of the belief in the divine, not believing in the supernatural assistance either in this life or the afterlife leaves all responsibility to the caring for human species with humans themselves. So basically, the part that I'm going to argue is with the first bit that I read. I'm putting some more of that in as context of a little bit of what the passage says. If you want to know, I told you already the book title and stuff, but I'll give you the page number just so you guys know. It's 271 under the the header, not the header, the chapter of religion in the modern world, my apologies, and it is on page 271, I believe I mentioned, and it falls under the category of secular humanism, right under liberalism. So if you find that book and decide that's where you want to read it, that's where you'll find it. It'll have all the information. I don't even know if there's like an online textbook. It's printed out of Winona, Minnesota. So yeah. But the part I want to talk about is, and I'll read it again. If fundamentalism is traditionalism at its extreme, then its liberal counterpart is secular humanism. So basically, what the book is arguing there is that secular humanism is on the same level as fundamentalism because oh, I'm blanking. This is not the only time I've ever heard this argument, which is why I'm saying it's a stupid things Christians say to atheism, and that stupid thing is, well, atheists are no different than fundamentalists, and basically what they're arguing is that there's like a horseshoe type thing where right in the middle there's like moderate Christians, and then you get fundamentalists on one side and then atheists on the other side, or in this case secular humanists, but they're really talking about liberal they're talking about secular humanists, but this is the only mention of any atheistic like mainstream system, and that kind of leads to where this is their only mention of any like secular or atheist worldview so far in our learning. I might not miss the entire thing because we have a few pages left and I haven't read entirely ahead, but so far this is the only mentioning of a complete atheist type system of secular humanism, and they're arguing that that fundamentalism and secular humanism are on the same level, when that is false, and it's drawing a false equivalency. Although the writer of this book would argue that secular humanism is damaging because it's bringing people away from God, since that is not an actual metric or something we need to worry about because there's no evidence to believe in God, so that's not a morally repugnant thing to do. Where the actions of fundamentalism, which is generally a strict sense of religious control, like fundamentalist Christians, I said like way too many times. My apologies. Like for instance, the NIFB, the New Independent Fundamentalist Baptists, who are advocating for the death penalty and or genocide for LGBTQ plus people. That's a little bit different than, we should not have to worry. We should treat people with respect, not because God says so, but because we're humans and that's how we should do it. And it's our job as humans to take care of other members of our species. I think that's not the same playing field. Well, it's not the same side of the coin. One is a obviously morally repugnant thing to do, and I know I'm pulling um, the NIFB as an extreme example, but what's the furthest extreme we can go to secular humanism? Someone who actively wants people to not believe in God and then treats them like they're human. Like that's as far. I don't know how far you can take secular humanism because in the title it only covers people who think God isn't in the picture when coming to govern governmental, or at least in this case, um, like societal problems, and then that humanism, like j- entirely under its own definition, anything that falls under that would wouldn't qualify as something equivalent to fundamentalism or fundamentalists. Um, and I wouldn't argue that liberalism and traditionalism aren't on the same side of the coin, but really their definition of traditionalism in comparison to liberalism is, I find, a little bit flawed. They definitely use the colloquial terms of liberalism and traditionalism, kind of like how conservative and liberalism are misused in a lot of places, where historically conservatism would mean you just want what is right now, what is going on to to stay the same, and if you want liberalism to if you are a liberal or want liberalism, you want changes. It doesn't matter what the changes are now. Currently and colloquially, it does matter what the changes are, and both conservatives and um, liberals and traditionalists and liberals all want different change, just different types of change. But even that, I would argue, isn't exactly the same side of a coin in the way that he argues fundamentalism and humanism, secular humanism. I should clarify that, because saying just humanism, that would be that wouldn't be a straw man, but that would be misphrasing. Secular humanism is what they're arguing. But basically what I'm trying to point out here, although not phrasing it very eloquently, is that comparison between more broad atheism and fundamentalism, and more specific to this textbook, in fundamentalism and humanism, isn't the same because they're not part of a horseshoe like bend where right in the middle is the best place to be, and then as you get to the wings you get more extreme, because that's not how society works. So it being arguing that they are the same or similar doesn't fit, because there's no, for secular humanism, there isn't anything morally repugnant that they do in the name of their belief system, where fundamentalism there is. Like even theocratic warfare, which is a concept used by many cults, but not just cults, it's quite commonly used by many fundamentalist groups, is anything you do that is a sin in support of the cause is no longer a sin. Even like to that point, though, sin isn't an actual concept that means anything. In their mind, sin is something bad that no one should ever do, but they change it when it's fighting for something else. Or at least my understanding of what sin is, based on years of study and forced study. But anyway, I hope that makes some form of sense. Sorry for the extra long one. This one's about 11, almost 12 minutes long. Have an amazing day. Peace.